I'm a big fan of the Korg Collection, which used to be the Legacy Collection, now the Korg Collection. So I've got all those installed, and I do find those really useful. But I did see that there was an announcement that there's a couple of new things coming to the Korg Collection. One particularly interesting was the ARP2600.
Yeah, so we're actually really involved with the Korg Collection this time around, and especially with the 2600 and the Vox Continental model, both of which are really fun and were done by our groups. And in fact, both of them were spearheaded by the same engineer who's really, really great at digging into hardware and figuring out how it works and figuring out how to recreate that in software. And so what I'm staring over here at is I have a 2600M on my desk. And so that guy who had dug into the Vox Continental a few years ago has been digging into this for a long time now. It's stunning, actually. We've been working on it for more than a year, a very long time. For me as a designer, it's been interesting because the challenge was to take its character and say, okay, we're in software now, we can do a little bit more. Also, it's many decades later, so we have a few different ideas about how synthesizers might work. How can we expand this in a way that is consistent with the original philosophy? So one of the temptations, right, especially if you're in software, and at least from a parts standpoint, there's no parts cost for making all three oscillators like VCO2, which is the most featureful of the three oscillators. But it takes away something from the device, I think, to make everything the same. So we did a bunch of things, like we added another envelope, we added another LFO. Actually, the original 2600, technically speaking, didn't have an LFO. The oscillators could work as LFOs, and then the keyboard module had a vibrato LFO, which you could then use for other things. But we added another filter, we added various other things. But all of those, we didn't just duplicate something that was there. We brought in a new design. And for me as a product designer, the challenge there was getting myself into this different headspace. This wasn't entirely my product. I had to take, I thought that the correct approach was to figure out what was neat and beautiful about the 2600, and based on that, create a revision of the product that did something new and exciting, but that didn't break what was beautiful about the old product.
Yeah, and that's going to be available as part of the Korg collection.
Right. Yeah. So the Korg Collection 5 will come out, and it'll be an upgrade to previous ones. So there'll be upgrade pricing for people who have previous versions of the Korg Collection and everything, and it'll have the 2600, the Vox Continental, and the EP1. So a slightly updated version of the piano that's in the Kronos.